Hi guys, today I'm going to be showing you how to do some simple movement in animation in Scratch. So first what you want to do is get in the Scratch website and press the create button on the menu bar. So we'll create a project and you'd want to choose a sprite for this. So if you have the default Scratch cat sprite, you are allowed to use that. It won't affect anything. If you want, you can paint your own sprite, like you can edit it in this sprite editor and stuff like that. Or if you want, you can go into the Sprite Library and choose one of these. So feel free to use any of these. I'm going to use the city bus and I'm going to set the size to 50 because of how large it is, and drag it somewhere where I think would be a really good spot. So now what we're going to do is go to backdrops, and again you're allowed to paint a backdrop, or you can go into the backdrop library, and again feel free to use whichever one of these you'd like. I'm going to use this night city backdrop. And again, I'm going to drag it somewhere so it makes a bit more sense. So after I've dragged it, I'm going to go to when green flag clicked in the events section, and I'll go to control. And wait, before we go to control, we need to go to motion and get a go to XY block, and we need to make sure that when the green flag is clicked, the bus will go back to its original starting point. Otherwise, if one person uses the bus, it won't go back to the beginning. So it would only be a sort of one-time only thing. So make sure these coordinates in the go-to XY block are matched to the ones of the actual city bus. -60, -74. No, -160, -74. There, so it is matched up. Then I'm going to go to control, and there are 3 ways you can do this, and I can showcase them all to you, and if you like one of them, you can choose it. So I'm going to be first taking the repeat loop from the control. It is the repeat loop, not the repeat until, and I'll go to motion. I'll scroll down and I'll get a change x by 10 block, and if you suspect you might be using it to fly or something like that, then you can get a change y by block as well. Now drag the change x by block and set it to 10 or whatever you want it to be, because the higher it is, the faster it's going to go. The lower it is, the slower it's going to go. And if it goes to a negative number, it's going to move backwards. Now that we've gotten this, if we start the green flag, it stops there, and you'll see that there is a numerical input in the repeat loop. You can change it up to repeat how many times it's gonna work. So basically it's going to change x by 10 the amount of times you put in the numerical input. So if I change it to 20 and I start the project, it moves a bit further. 25, start the project, moves a bit further. And if I set it to 35 and I start the project, goes a little too far. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set it to 30. If we start it now, there, it pretty much stops where we want it to. And just keep in mind, x 140, you might want to remember that, or whatever your sprite stopped at, just you want to remember this x coordinate, so we could do it for the other 2 options. as in the forever loop option and the repeat until. So that is the only thing you could do with the repeat. Obviously, you could duplicate it and maybe you could change y by 10 or change y by 5, repeat 30. If I start it now, it just brings the bus up in the air, but for now I'm just going to be keeping one script. Again, you can add hundreds of scripts if you need to, but for now I'm just going to be keeping one script just to show an example. Now that is it is one way to do it. It's not completely accurate unless you do a few, I guess, calculations on where it's going to end up. But if you want a simpler way, the next two are way simpler. So we can get a forever loop out from the control section and change x by 10. Now this might be one of the simplest because there's no numerical inputs to repeat how many, but there is one flaw in it. If I start it, it never stops. And as you can see, even though it reached the end, it is still outlined by yellow, which means it is still running. So technically it's still trying to move forward. That's because this is a forever loop and it'll keep going forever. So a simple way to do this, to stop it, is get an if statement, put it right under the change x by block, go to operators, and get a greater than operator, go to motion, scroll down, and once you find this x position, y position direction, grab the x position, and what we want to do is check if it is greater than 140, which is the coordinate I found earlier. Hope you still remember it. And after you put that in, what you do is scroll down and get a stop, not a stop all, a stop the script. Otherwise, it's going to stop the entire project itself if you have more other scripts in this. And keep in mind, I don't think you can, like the repeat, I don't think you can actually put more scripts into it, mostly because the forever loop, you can't put any blocks under it. So you might want to get another when green flag clicked just by right clicking it and duplicating it. So you can mess with this as well. So now if we start the green flag, there, it stops at 150. If you wanted to stop at 140, that would be simple. Just set it to if x position is greater than 130. If we start the project, keep an eye on the city bus's x position and look at that. It ends at 140. So this would be another way to do it. And I have another way to do this, and it's a bit more reliable than the forever loop option. We'll get a repeat until block in the control section. And we'll go to operators and we'll get a greater than operator. We'll go to motion, scroll down, and get an x position if x position is greater than 130. Basically the same input we put in for the if statement. And if we put it in, if we do it, it stops when it reaches the coordinate 140. And you can set it to other values such as less than 100, greater than. And if you start the project, it ends at 110 because we made it so it changes the x by 10. So it will go 10 pixels farther than the actual value you set it to. So these are the 3 ways to do it. So if you start the project, it would stop here. Then now you can mess around with some other scripts. You can put some repeat blocks, forever, if else, stuff like that. But that's pretty much all for the video. The next video I'm going to be showing you how to change the costumes of a sprite so it looks like whenever they're walking, it actually looks like they're walking. Like for example for the Scratch Cat. That's all for the video. See ya.